Welcome to Glue. The show is about things that keep everything together, thus glue. Whether you're keeping people together, organizations together, any kind of family unit, whether it's at work, at home, they're the people that others depend on. And my guest today is Sky. Sky, let's talk a little bit about you.
Evening, Marty. I would love to answer any question that you have for me.
Okay. How old are you, Sky?
I'm 25.
You just graduated not that long ago, and you've started your career. And what do you do?
I work for KOAA, basically NBC News, and I am the cameraman / master control operator / production.
I can tell right away just from that title and knowing you, because you and I have known each other for quite some time. We've done a few things together in the entertainment world. We worked together in plays, and we've shared some time in the trenches with short film. Having worked with you, there's one thing I absolutely know, and that is you are glue. The title that you have at work, that's clearly glue, whether you know it or not. And usually glue doesn't know that they're glue. People depend on you. And most glue, they show up when they're supposed to. They're ready to work. They put their heart and their soul into it, and they get it done. They just bust their ass and get it done. So let's just talk just a little bit about your glue. Because no matter what goes on, you keep people together. You really do. Whether it's someone showing up and asking you, hey, Sky, can you run sound for this play? We're not going to pay you anything, but hey, you don't mind running sound, do you? And of course, you show up and you happily do it, and that's the perfect example of, you show up, you get it done, and you say, how can I help? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I believe I joined the Impossible Players. Oh, this always gets me. I believe in 2012, 2011. And I joined them when I was with my professors for a small film called Bail Bond. And the Possible Players, they were hosting the short film awards, or the short films. And so I went over there and I saw the whole theater, and I thought this looked great. I would love to be a part of this. So I called somebody up, and I didn't get nothing. So I'm like, okay, I gotta have a more direct approach. So let me go over there to see what's going on. So I went over there and I met the director for Roman Conquest, Miss Brandy Gardner. And before I knew it, I was already in the door of the Impossible Players. And being a part of them has been the happiest years of my life. I've seen so many things and experienced so many experiences I would never trade it for the world.
Well, I got to tell you, that film that you were in, you and I were in that same film festival. I remember seeing that film. You were incredible in it. I'm glad that we met. And that's one funny thing about glue, is that glue sticks to other glue. It's kind of strange the way that it works out, but it's so true. Glue recognizes each other because as someone who others depend upon, and on a regular basis, they know that if they call you, you're going to show up, you're going to do what needs to be done, you're going to say, okay, I'm here, and then all of a sudden they don't worry anymore. You're definitely one of those people. And I have to ask you, I don't always just want to talk about when things go right, because when things go right, that's not really what defines us. It's when things go wrong.
Yes.
And that's what really makes the difference in a person. It shows you what kind of person you are. Someone told me once, and they said, we're kind of like fruit. And you are what you are when you get squeezed. If you're a lemon and you get squeezed, lemon juice comes out. That's just how it all works. So that's the real true definition of who we are, is when it all goes south. And when you're glue and so many people are dependent upon you, how do you cope with life when things go bad? I mean, do you have a song that you sing? It's like one of the things that makes me feel better personally is like Bob Marley, Three Little Birds. When I am having the worst day in my life, I can just sit back and say, you know what, I need some Bob Marley right now because I can't handle it. And so I'll put that song on, and it just makes me feel a little bit better to where I can continue on. That's just one of my many coping mechanisms. What about you? When it all falls apart, and life is just like that. It's a roller coaster. It goes up and it goes down. What do you do when it all falls apart? I mean, tell us.
That happens to me on numerous occasions, surprisingly to say. But I find myself reaching out to others or certain people. Because one thing about me, I'm like a hermit in a way. I like to keep to myself about many things. But when I do have like that one bad day at work, I would often like call up a friend of mine and just tell him what happened today. Or if that doesn't work, I would either go back home and just watch something from the past, because that always makes me happy. Let it be the Three Stooges or the Marx Brothers, or even as ancient as Hanna-Barbera cartoons, seeing Yogi or Huckleberry Hound, because just seeing that history just makes me happy. I mean, just seeing them like mess up or even do something on purpose but make it look like it was part of the act. That's how I see life. Life is all but a stage, and we are merely mans and players of it. So I just watch it, and I just take a deep breath and say, tomorrow is a new day. Just like Annie, the sun will come out tomorrow. Not to be corny, but it's really the truth.
Yeah. And as glue, a lot of people will come to you and seek your guidance, and they want to feel a little bit better, and they'll talk to you and they'll say, man, I'm just having a bad day. I don't know what's going on, really. I don't know if I can ask for help. And then all of a sudden, it's no doubt that people are just automatically drawn to people who at least seem like they have it all together, and they're people who are people that you count on. Those are the people that they kind of seek out. And well, that can also have kind of a downside too. And all of a sudden you can find yourself pulled in many directions, and all of a sudden so many people are asking for your time. How do you manage your time, having so many people want to spend time with you, because you feed energy into them, and it's kind of like you hold the entire world upon your shoulders? How do you manage your time when so many people want to I don't know, they want to be stingy with your time? What do you do?
Well, my biggest problem is that I am too nice, and people tell me I am too nice, but I can't help it. I always said this to myself. I always said that a higher power put me on this earth to help others, because I get more joy seeing others happy than I do myself. There'll be some occasions where the single mother would call me saying she's having a bad day or she don't know what to do, and I will give her advice and tell her that she will make you can get through this. I mean, and I know in your future that you will come through fine, because every mother I talk to, they always come out fine. Either they find a new relationship or they find a job. It always turns out better. You just gotta think positive for that person, and that positive energy that you have yourself will sometimes feed off of others. That way you can feel like this to go back again, that it will be a brighter day tomorrow, that everything will be better the next day. It's just, and for my time, honestly, I'm a selfless person. Right now, I'm living with a friend of mine who I met through college, who I call my brother, his wife, his 20-year-old daughter, and their family dog. And honestly, it's like the happiest time of my life right now, because I'm helping this little girl grow up. I'm helping the family out, because when you're a couple and you have a baby, it's kind of tough. So you'll need some others for help. Either the father works all day, needs a break, or the mother works all day, need help, to need somebody just to be there, just to help her out. So that's what I do. So my time basically is to the people that I care about, because I love them so much.
Now, that's one thing that I've noticed about you as well, is that you are very family oriented. Do you think that family, that bond, having grown up and placing such an importance on family, realizing that it takes a village to get through this life, that, no one is an island, and we have to sometimes call on others to kind of lift us up, even just for a moment. Yes. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, your family, and how has that influenced you to be such a foundation and a bedrock for others?
Well, my heritage is the Caribbean. My parents live in Grenada, and my father, throughout his whole life, he's always been working hard. He's always been a hard worker. So that's where that's where I come from. Well, my enthusiasm for working comes from my father, from his hardship all the time. And they're very old school over there. They're very traditional. So like a curfew, don't talk ill will about your parents or curse around them, or if you do, you will get whippings. I mean, people are frowned upon that, but honestly, without that foundation, I would never be the person that I am. And actually, I also have an extended family as well, because my father married his first wife back in, I believe, the 70s and the 80s, and then they got divorced and met my mother, who I currently have right now. So they have 2 boys on this side of the family, which I see them as my full blood brothers. The whole half and step brothers, I just don't see. You're my family, full brothers. It doesn't matter. So, and having both my brothers, Doug and Terrence, they taught me so much about the world, like how to act and how to be. And so when my mother told me that we're going to have a little baby in the family, that means I get to share what they share with me to her. Before I know it, though, I believe in 1997, 98, we lost the first little girl in our family. Yeah, so it tore me up, and I was like, 8, 9 years old at the time. So it was my first death ever. So I didn't know how to deal with it. I was in elementary school at the time, so it was just tough for me. But then higher powers shined on us again and gave us another baby, and so I vowed to be like the best big brother ever. And right now, she's doing very well for herself. She's like in all the smartest classes, all the academic classes, the highest priority. In high school, she's starting to learn how to drive. I was teaching her how to drive earlier today. So it's just been an honor, because I'm not gonna lie, family it's me. So anywhere I go, I try to have a family. Either it's in Pueblo or Denver, anywhere around the world. Because when I came here in 2007, I didn't have nobody. I mean, freshman from Denver, didn't know anything about the world, so put my foot in the door. And then a couple years later, I find myself having, being part of this fake fraternity, and we live off of that. And being part of a theater group, which I really call themselves my family, because I have 2 older sisters, a mom, a whole bunch of brothers, a whole bunch of mentors, and almost like weird aunts and weird uncles and cousins. And it's just like a dysfunctional family, but it's my family.
So, considering the upbringing that you received,
yes,
family was always very important to me too. And one thing is, my parents were very strict. Very strict, and by the same token, though, they were very lenient in some ways, because I always told them where I was, who I was with. If I was going to a friend's house, they knew the phone number of my friend, and this was before you had a cell phone. This was before you could have constant contact, anywhere you could go. But my parents always knew what I was doing. They knew who I was with. They didn't have any questions about it. There was a whole lot of communication between us. And I think it made a huge impact on me, because I felt like they could trust me. And because of that, and because of the relationship that we had, I felt that I had to have certain responsibilities, that I was accountable for my actions, and that if I didn't do what I told them I was doing, I would probably disappoint them, that all of a sudden I was untrustworthy. It was kind of like this double-edged sword, that my parents kind of trusted me and had these expectations of me. But then again, I'm not like a sociopath either. I suppose that if a sociopath had the same upbringing, that they might turn out a little bit differently, because they expect to be treated well, and they're feeling like I don't know, what's the word? They deserve nothing but that they're entitled to that kind of treatment without having earned it.
Right. Almost like a slacker in a way.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Sounds like people who likes to wear masks. Those are the people that they like basically what you just said. They don't really expect to earn anything from it. They just act a certain way and expect others to treat them that way. But eventually, the mask always comes off, no matter who you are. So it's only a matter of time before people really see who you really are. And when that happens, then you're just gonna ask yourself what happens next. And it's just a matter of speaking, or just a moment of time, just waiting to see what happens, Marty.
So let's also talk about some of the things that are going on around the country. How do you think that you could help others see maybe the world through your eyes? Because so much is going on, and there are so many people that are trying to divide everybody. Right. I see so many organizations. I won't even say which ones they are, but there are so many outlets and organizations who make an awful lot of money dividing people or putting fear into people. Both you and I come from, we would be considered minorities, even though our populations in the country are actually not such a minority anymore, and that term is kind of an antiquated term. What are your thoughts on getting people to understand what's going on? And do you feel that same way? Are there people trying to divide us? And if so, what are your thoughts on that? How can we bring it together? How can we make it better?
Honestly, I look at the world and I really do inquire upon myself, can the world get any better? Because this seems like the same travesty happens almost a certain amount of years. The most I can think of is hope. I know hope sounds like an impossible dream, and that it sounds like only in fantasy, but we gotta have something inside just so we can believe that the world can become a better place. Now, how we should do that, I'm not gonna lie, it's beyond me. The best I can think of is trying to get everybody together and just talking about how we can resolve for the better. But it's tough though, because everybody has their own opinions, has their own minds. So them just sharing what they feel, others will either go behind it or just feel like they're just wasting my time. So, and we've seen it like in so many times in like cinema or in the books that we read, that it always takes like a certain individual to stop things from happening. I mean, yes, sometimes it's from fantasy, it's from history, but from what I see from those different examples is that there's always a chance to change anything. I mean, either you're for the world, making a better place, or just burning everything. There's always that certain individual who is always willing to make that change. And sometimes they do. It just takes a little courage and a whole lot of heart and determination.
Yeah, and you bring up determination.
Yes.
And that is such a strong strong word and the meaning behind it that I don't think a lot of people understand. There's so many out there that think that this world is kind of like everything's downhill, that everything's supposed to be easy, that everything just naturally comes together and there is no struggle in this world, and you're not supposed to have to earn things. Like, I earned my parents' trust by showing them. I like to think that I kind of earn friendships by being a good friend. It's kind of like, I don't know, the golden rule. Treat others the way that you want to be treated, and it kind of ties into that. And determination, because determination is kind of like, in a roundabout way, it's telling you that we create our own universe. And if we think that our universe is a crappy one, it kind of becomes that, because that's our expectation. That's how we put our universe together. And well, if you think that you can't do something, well, guess what? You can't. But if you think you can do something, you can. Yes. And I kind of saw that, and it's one of the reasons why I like this movie that just came out. It's American Sniper. Yes, I heard about that. The parts that I like about it are, one of the things that these guys go through when they're in buds is they're trying to separate the wheat from the chaff. And they put these guys through such excruciating challenges to where any normal person, or I guess I'll say that, any normal person, any person that's not glue, will just go, you know what? No, I am not doing that. I'm out. I'm done. But the people that are glue, they don't give up. They, no matter what kind of challenge is thrown in their way, they have the determination to stick it out and stay with it. Yes. They don't give up. They don't give up. If anything, you just don't give up. And let's talk about that.
Agreed. Because determination is such a key to most certain life events and almost anything that you do. Like when it comes to being like a little Lothario, always going out and getting the girls, it's like, think to yourself, I'm determined to get this woman's phone number, and I'm determined to see how far this leads. And mostly it can either lead you to being, like I said, Lothario, a playboy, or it can lead you to something greater, having a wife, having some kids. That, I guess, the basis of, in quotations, the American dream, the happy life, as most people would say. Or you can live your whole life just being like a playboy who always gets as many females as he wants, but is he really happy? We never know. That's really up to him. But he's determined to do that because he believes it so solely in his heart, that in his spirit, that he can accomplish anything. And that's the reason why most of us, I can't say my generation, but the friends I hang out with, like we always like to go out and watch the Marvel and the DC movies, because there is a travesty happening, or there is some madman about to pull out a heist. So how is it that this person who goes through so much already, how can he save the world from this travesty? Because he has determination, and he's thinking about the future. That's the one thing that this generation don't think about, the future. All this technology that we have, we are losing ourselves in it. I mean, the pioneers of the past, they got through everywhere by using their gut feeling and using what they learned from off the land, using the stars to be their guidance. Now we have an app for that, and it's just terrible. But I've always been an old soul, so the foundations that my father and his father before him always taught me: work hard, have determination, be a good person. And little by little, even if you are stumped through the mud and anything happens to you, slowly you will try to change the world. Like the great leaders of the past, Nelson Mandela, Brother King, even for extreme measures, Brother X. But all these famous leaders, though, as much as much as they went through, eventually they changed the world. And forgive me for only using just those African American leaders, but those are the ones to me personally that I look up to the most.
You know, I have to tell you, when you bring up Malcolm X, his story is one of the stories that has motivated me for quite some time, because there he is. He's a man who is seeing the world in kind of a bad place. And he's going through very troubled times. So much so that really all of the people that he's associating with, they're not nice people. Oh, yeah. He ends up in prison. Yes. And while he's in prison, he finds a little bit of a light, and he finds religion. And next thing you know, he sees something in himself. He sees promise in himself. And he sees that, wow, I can be something more. And I don't have to be this thing that I've been told that I'm not going to amount to anything. My life is just going to be horrible. I don't have to fall into that anymore. He finds religion and he finds a way out. But then he realizes that there are so many people even there that are trying to separate people, that are trying to, it's us against them. And then all of a sudden the light turns on and he realizes that it's not about pulling people apart. It's about bringing people together. His story is just so inspiring to me.
Also, another example of that history, I saw a film when I was back in college. It was called Milk. And I forgot the actor's name. He portrayed Harvey Milk. Sean Penn, thank you. As this man who is trying his best to show the world that homosexuals are people as well. Because people, a society often treats something they don't understand as like a virus. You can take that to anything, as it could be racism, or it can be sex or gender. Anything people don't understand, they always hate what they fear. So with Harvey Milk, he tried his best to show people that homosexuals are people too. They have different tastes as others, but they are still our people. And that's why when I was growing up, like I said before, I am a huge comic book fan. I love them. My favorite was a title called X-Men, because you have these two predominant strong figures in both races. Professor X, who is for equality with regular humans and people with extraordinary powers. And then you have another figure who's only want nothing but his own species survival, and him to be basically to rule almost the whole earth in a way. Nothing happening but by space with these special powers. So the struggle is always there. And you're always going to find those people who either are for the side or for the cause, who don't want to be the side for the cause, or just don't really care about the matter. It's just a matter of showing everybody that everybody is the same. I mean, I'm no different from you, Marty. We have the same fingers, toes, hearts, eyes, shape. Nothing really defines us except for our character inside ourselves. But it just feels like we as a society are so arrogant in that we cannot get past that. And it's sometimes hard for people to really believe, will it will get better after this?
I think it will get better. As long as we wake up and we realize that we are the same and we need each other. And as glue, there are those that aren't glue, but they need the glue to keep it all together. Glue sticks to other glue. They just do. But there's always someone that wants to tear it all apart. And they break it all down. Someone has to push Humpty Dumpty off that wall. And you know what? Guess what? Even though all the king's horses and all the king's men can't put them together, you know what? I bet you if they had some glue, they probably could. Might not be the same, but they can put them back together again. But that being said, one thing that's always kind of kept me realizing that we all need each other. There's a purpose for us all, is that even though there are people that say, you know what, it's purity. It's purity, man. That's where it's at. It's purity. You need one pure race here and one pure race there. And I say that that's bullshit. When I was younger, I saw metals coming together. And when you put two metals together, it's called an alloy. Now, if you just have iron all by itself, just some iron, that's it. It's kind of brittle. It's not really good for anything. But you know what? If you have some iron, you throw in some chrome, you throw in some other things, you get this alloy. And all of a sudden you have steel. And steel, this amalgam, this alloy. It's the coming together of many things that makes it strong. It makes it able to withstand such torture, such, kind of like our daily lives. It's the coming together that helps us survive all the speed bumps and all the horrible things that happen to us every day. It's not us alone. It's coming together. And whether it be your skin color, your sexual orientation, your religion, it doesn't matter. If we have to come together, and when we are together and we say, you know what, we're all human, we're all in this together, and we all have these rights. And when we do that, nobody can stop us. We are strong. They'll try and beat us down, and you know what? They can't, because we have that strength. It's only when they separate us and they have us at odds with each other can they gain any sort of power over us. So it's that coming together, the amalgam. It's the alloys in us all that makes the good stuff happen. And I'm a firm believer of that. I don't know. More alloys. Just get everybody together. Stop this crap. Don't let people try and pull you apart and say, well, it's us versus them. No, it's not. It's us. Yes. And we're in it together. So let's come together, and together we can find a solution. Yes. What do you think about that?
I completely agree. Unity is the key. Honestly, I believe unity is the key to our survival. I mean, you can use this to anything that you've seen in your life or you read anything. For the people who are big fans of the Harry Potter, I always reference to fantasy because I'm a huge believer of fantasy. I love happy endings. Like the Harry Potter series, when the Dark Lord did come back, okay, people believe, oh, this is the end of the world. How are we going to get through this? Well, there are those small bands of people. They came, and if anybody is familiar with the books, that there are 4 classes of Hogwarts, 4 different types of classes: Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw, and Hufflepuff. They all have different characteristics and different entities to themselves. But when it came down to life or death, when your buddies, when the whole world is coming to an end, that there are some members in those certain classes who will come together and make sure to come out of it strong, just like you say, just like an alloy. So one person, yes, they have a good chance of stopping any nuisance that comes our way. But if you bring different sorts of people together, then you have forged something so strong that it can be beaten. And that's why I always reference to the comic books, because you have these extraordinary people from different backgrounds, different time periods, come together and doing the things that normal people can't do, like glue. There's regular people with certain abilities about themselves that makes them so special that they can make the world a better place or hold anything together if they are really determined to do so. There was an incident in my past that it always shocked me. This concerns the Aurora shooting theory, and that, I have to say, that was like a devastating tragedy that I have experienced so far. And I'm only 25, so only knows what I'm going to experience more. But I had two friends who was in that same very theater, and they were broken. It just seemed like nothing could get them out of that. To even step outside because they feel like at any moment they can just perish at any time. So the most that I did was to go over their house and let them know that how can I say this, that you're not alone in that. There is a community who is suffering through all of that. And we're just small reminders to show them that we are a part of each other. That no matter how far we go, no matter how the distance, we will always come together when anything happens to us, when tragedy happens to us. I mean, funerals, birthdays, even let it be either positive or negative events in our world, we always come together and show them that we are a part of each other, because unity is so strong within one another that it just brings out the beautiful out of people. Even the people that you didn't expect to see, they will come together just to show them that we are part of this world. And it's beautiful.
So just out of curiosity, I have my own thoughts about this, but I'd like to ask you yours. Do you think that the majority of people are good people, or do you think the majority of people are bad people? In other words, do you think that there are more people trying to keep it together than tear it apart? Do you think that it's about equal, or do you think that there are more people trying to keep it together, and maybe there are those that will profit by us thinking that there aren't as many of us trying to keep it together than tear it down just to try and divide us? What are your thoughts?
The nature of people has always been the biggest question I would always inquire upon myself, because to quote Sir Michael Caine from the Dark Knight series, some people are can be bought, they can be sold. There are just some people in the world who want to watch the world burn. Honestly, depending on if a person can be good, if a person can be bad, it really depends on how lonely a person can be and who's all around them. Like, I believe you saw the Disney film Lilo and Stitch. Okay, so Stitch is a perfect example. This little blue alien who was designed to cause chaos wherever he goes. He escapes prison, lands on this remote little island, and meets this little girl named Lilo. And slowly, through all the chaos that he has put this little girl in through, she still finds that will to show him that he can become a better person. When everybody's telling him that he is a monster, he doesn't deserve to be treated anything except for a monster, she just puts that behind herself and tries to make him a better person. And eventually, that gets to him. So I believe that anybody can be changed. I mean, from a person who's been bad all his life to that one moment in his life, or a person at him or her life that can go for good. It just really depends on the people who are around you. Because people always ask, was he born gay? Was he supposed to be gay? Is he supposed to be bad? All this. It just really depends. It just depends on who's all around him and what he feels inside. Because anybody can change. Like me talking to you. I mean, you tell me that I'm glue. There could be like a moment in my life where something happens to me, and it could be so devastating to myself that I can just like lose all faith and just go in a certain path that people don't want me to go as. It just really depends on who's in your life, and if you do happen to face that travesty, who will come to help you out of that. It just really depends on people to show them if they're really good or bad. And I always use references to movies because I love them to death. Just like Wolverine, mindless killing machine, and then he meets the X-Men, and then he becomes like the founding member. It's just like amazing what people will do just to go through all the BS just to make sure that at the end of the day, if he even has like a notion to change the world or change himself so he can be a different person, then accomplish. So it's just really tough to call. My response to that, Marty, are people good, are people bad? It just really depends on who is in their lives and what they see. And they have the notion to change, they will. It just really depends on them.
Right? I can see that. But I would say this too. I think that people, the majority of people especially, that have been allowed to have open eyes, who have seen what it's like to have individual rights, to have self-determination, and to know what it's like to be able to come and go as you please and do what you want to do and have that. I think that if you see that, you're probably going to have a tendency to be good. And I would say this: if people were mostly bad and people did not want to come together and mostly get along, that I think the majority of people, they just want to get along. And I think the proof is this. Look at traffic. And I'm sure this microphone's picking up the traffic outside as it goes by. Being so close to traffic as I am, I have the opportunity to observe a lot of it. And in the 3 years, I think I've been here 3 years, the 3 years that I've been here, I think I've only heard maybe 3 accidents. And so I think everybody just wants to kind of get along, and they want to follow rules, and they do these things, and they're just trying to make it through the day, and we can all get along. And the proof is there. If all of us were kind of these evil people and these, I don't know, what did Bush call them? Evildoers. If everybody was such an evildoer and that this place is coming apart at the seams, the things that we hear in the media, we hear that, oh, it's such a terrible world and it's such a terrible place and it's just all falling apart, and oh man, throw your hands up in the air and just run around and scream. And if that were the case, it would be absolute chaos out there. No matter what you would do, there'd be accidents there all the time. Because people would say, you know what, I'm not getting along with anybody. Red light? I'm not stopping at no red light. I'm going right through it. I'm going to do what I want to do. Forget all these other people. And I think that's kind of my vision of that. And I think that if it was as bad as they say it was, we would see it everywhere. And I think we're kind of being lied to that our world is a far better place. I think that it just doesn't get the advertising that it really deserves. Our world doesn't get the credit for being a beautiful place or such an incredible place. Just my 2 cents.
Well, no, I completely understand. Because it seems like we are glued to anything that we watch, and that is our first instance of that particular subject or being, perspective, I should say, of our original perspective of something that we see on television or anything that we see, because it's our eyes. I mean, people really believe that anything we see through our eyes is really the truth. But it's just a mask, though. It's just fog. Because even sometimes your eyes can deceive you. And I learned that from Star Wars, actually. In Star Wars, I swear, it has to be like one of the biggest, and it is, like the biggest truth tellers out there. I mean, and people, my favorite movie of all time is the 3rd Star Wars film. And people would be like, oh, that was the worst one. It's terrible. I mean, the prequels was just terrible. But the way how I see it, it just shows you how people, given the chance, what people would do. I mean, if you guys think about this, there was just like the civilization that had gone for a millennia or how long of peace and prosperity, and only one person changes because he knew the fate of someone that he cares about so much was going to slip away from his fingers. I mean, given that to anybody, either they would like accept the truth or they would try to change it. And he did. I mean, that one person changed the entire universe. And it's like amazing when you think about it. And it just shows you how strong love can be. And being part of the MPs, I have heard different stories about love. May it be negative or positive. But overall, it's a strong, strong emotion. And I have yet to experience that yet. And I hope I do, because I would love to tell stories about it and show it to anybody who knows me, how much of a strong believer I am of love. And I believe I have gotten off topic again. I am so sorry. What the original plan was.
Actually, I don't think it's off topic. I think that ties right on in with everything, because what it really comes down to is love for ourselves, love for others.
Yes.
And there are those that we love more than ourselves.
Yes.
And family is one of those.
Yes.
And love is something that you just, when you have it, sometimes you might not realize that you have it until it's not there anymore. And then you go, whoa, wait a minute. I thought I didn't know what that was, but now that it's not there, I think that's exactly what it is. So I don't think that's changing the subject at all. I don't know, from my perspective, I used to think that there were two different kinds of love. It's kind of like the poets will tell you, there are two types of love. All the great writers that have been out there, there's two kinds of love. There's romantic love, and then there's platonic love. And there are two different kinds. And, as I get older, I'm not so sure of that anymore. I think there is one kind of love. There are those that you would just do anything for. And I think other people confuse sex with love. You know what I mean? It's like, no, it's possible to love someone and not have sex with them. And it's possible to love someone that you are having sex with, but the sex is kind of like a separate thing altogether. And I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but I think that it's not such, I don't think there are two things.
I completely agree. My understanding and my personal beliefs when it comes to sex, I'm not gonna lie, I'm an amateur when it comes to sex. I'm not. I will openly admit to that, because sex to me, it seems like it's a unification of two people, and people will mistreat that as like they have the urge and they need to let it out, or they have this tendency and it just can't get out of them. They have to do this act just so they can feel good about themselves. And I'm not gonna lie, sex, it is good. I mean, it's almost like a stress reliever in a way. I mean, it's like you have that moment of bliss and ecstasy, and it just blows your mind that people forget the true meaning of it. Like for me, I can recall that the first night I have had sex was with one of my sister's friends. And at first, before I did the act, I thought to myself that sex was only shared between people who marry people who love each other enough. But as I got older, I listened to other people telling me what sex is, and then that clouded my mind of sex. I will openly admit to that. So I was thinking to myself, like, the first time I do this act, I want it to be an experience I never forget. More positive than negative, because I'm a positive person. I can't help it. It's my nature. So that one night, that first night when we did actually have sex, it was nothing I'd ever experienced before. But I can honestly say that I loved it. Not because that, hey, I just had sex. It's just because that unification I had with that person. I mean, just the chance just to look into her eyes and, both of our hearts are racing and we have the same beat with each other. It just made me feel like there was nothing else in the world like that. And I'm just hoping for the chance to do that again. because it's just a special moment in people's lives, and people always take it for granted. I mean, when you get done doing the act and you have that moment after the sex is over, if you can have that that one rare moment where it's, well, depending if the lights are on or off, but if the lights are off and you guys are looking to like eternal darkness, or you're looking at the stars and just talking about, you know, everything, you know, all your fears, all your hopes and dreams in that special moment, that makes you realize that we as a society are beings who love, who love to be with another person, because it's scary being alone. It really is. It will like change your thoughts, and it'll make you act crazy sometimes. But love will do that as well. It's just it's just like a powerful feeling. But I can't help it. I just can't wait until I have that moment again. But until then, I'm just waiting until I'm just being patient until I open that champagne bottle for that special occasion.
Yeah. I didn't expect us to get to that topic, but all right. Well, since we're there, I've always separated sex with love, because I don't know. I guess it's just through personal experience that it's absolutely possible to where you can love someone with all of your being, but not be required to, you know, have sex with them. That I love someone so much that I would sacrifice my own life for them. And the people that I felt that strongly for, you know, the sex wasn't even in the equation. It's like nowhere, it's not even in the same ballpark, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I guess my experience is different. So to me, there's kind of like love, which is this very strong feeling that you have for another person. And then there's kind of like lust. Yes. You know, that, and that lust that's there. And, you know, some people think that lust is like a really bad thing. Yeah, it's got such a stigma to it. You know what I mean? But I think it's possible to have that lust for someone, and then you go, wow, wait a minute. I love them. You know, that there's kind of more to it, that you find out more about them. You find out what their likes are, their dislikes. They've got these little strange idiosyncrasies that they have, and you kind of fall in love with the person. And once you do fall in love with them, you know, the lust part, the sex part, it's just kind of gravy. That for love, it's not the main component. It's kind of like it's good, but now it's just kind of good, but now you get some better. The love is awesome, but hey, you know, wow, it's like benefits there too. So I don't know. That's kind of how I've always seen it, because I as I get older and I can see, you know, we always talk about, well, I want to grow old with this person. And I think getting older, now mind you, I still have a libido. I still, you know, I still want to get my Tone Loc Wild thing on, you know, it's going to happen, you know, it's definitely there, but I'm seeing it in kind of a different perspective, to where when you want to grow old with someone, you kind of see that, you know, I really don't even need that part, that lust component. It's nice, but that's not the best stuff. It's just kind of there. and you just want to hang out with that person and spend time with them and just go through the day, whether it's just having some coffee, watching a show, doing whatever. It's that time, it's that interaction that you get with a person. That's the important part. And maybe that's the reason why I've always kind of felt that, there's only one love. And yeah, at first you really lust that person, you lust for them, and you just go, oh man, oh yeah, that's there. And then you just kind of, some you never fall in love with. It's just kind of, it's just kind of friends with benefits that you really don't love. But then, you meet someone and you have that, and you grow, and you actually wake up and you go, oh crap, I am so screwed because I really love them. I am so screwed right now. And I that's how I've always seen it.
Yeah. One thing about human beings, we are honestly, we are not to discourage the human race, but we as humans, we are simple-minded creatures. No different from the animal of the world, like the ape or any other animal out there. I mean, for regular animals, they mate, they eat, and they live. Humans are no different. But like I said, there's that barrier. Like you said, there's that barrier to to divide everything up. Instead of think of everything as a whole, that we are really one. But people don't want to believe that. So with the whole lust and the sex thing, it just seems to me that we are afraid to show others who we really are, how we feel about others, because that fear of rejection, that fear will always drive people and always scare people to do anything they don't want to. And it's tough to overcome your fears. But the moment that you do, you will have a different perspective on life. And you can also be almost like a beacon to others, showing people that I have overcome my fear. You can too. It just takes something inside you, or even somebody who is willing to help you with that, to become the person that you want to be. Like for me, I have never said the words "I love you" to a person before. Well, to a person who I feel like that draws me to like I never said "I love you" to a woman who I really feel special with, because I haven't experienced that yet. One day I will, but right now, because those words they are like almost like a bow and arrow. They can pierce through you, hence Cupid's arrow. I mean, once that arrow pierces your heart, it's like almost like being shot in a way, or being like the excruciating pain, either good or bad excruciating pain. But it's just like it's just like unimaginable, because it's sensations. Humans love sensations, man. Either it be negative or positive. It just falls into those categories of life. Love, sex, lust. It's crazy, Marty. It's really crazy.
Well, that in movies, right?
Oh yes.
There you go.
Books as well.
There you go. Well, I got to tell you, I really appreciate you coming by and participating in the show. I think the world of you. And you know what? I love you, man. And it's not the alcohol talking either. I love you. And it's all about coming together. And I think the world of you, and that's the reason why I wanted to have you on the show. And you are a bright light in so many people's lives. It's an honor and it's a privilege to know you. It really is. And I'm glad that you came on by. And thank you so much.
Sir, I cannot tell you how happy I was to do this for you. Because honestly, Marty, I think of you as like my mentor, as my Obi-Wan Kenobi. Because I don't have much mentors. Well, I do, but I have a seldom few who I really sit down and have an old school conversation with, and not just over the phone. So me talking to you like this, and you seeing basically what is in my soul, because I have shown it a couple of times. I can't help it. It's just with those people that I really feel have a strong bond with, who glue feels compatible with other glue with. That it shows you what is really inside the components that makes the glue that holds it together. So I'm just more honored to help you out with this, sir, and be a part of your world. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And you've just listened to Glue with Marty Muniz. See you next time.